Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's office hour with Caculuz. Today, I'll be having this office hour with Lloyd, and then we'll be answering your questions. Today, we are wrapping up for the week, and I believe that most of you. So I believe that most of you would have completed your tasks for the week. I believe most of you have completed your tasks for the week, and yeah. Okay, so let's get right to the questions. I know some of you dropped questions on the form that we dropped, so I'll be addressing those questions. I'll be addressing those questions, and then also I'll be addressing questions you drop here on YouTube. All right, so let's get right into it. So if you have questions, like that's the best place to drop your question. Just go to the form that we dropped, on Slack, and then drop your questions. Okay. Oh, okay. So before I go into the questions, I'll just do like a quick brief of what we've been covering for this week. So far, this week we started with laws of UX, then we moved to design thinking, and then we also moved to introduction to Figma. I know it was quite a lot. I gave you a heads up last week, Friday, that we're going to be covering quite a lot this week. And I'm actually so happy that you guys were able to cover through, be able to scale through. I think lots of people are able to understand the concept we're trying to drive with laws of UX and then design thinking. The tasks were also quite straightforward, working on Nairaland and then the physical product for lots of UX tasks, and we give you different, like the ways to make your submission. A lot of people, did fantastic. And then also design thinking. Also for design thinking, we give you like the tasks to just provide solutions to the issues you found on Nairaland using the design thinking process that was explained in the video resource that was dropped. Some persons are saying they can't hear me. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please, can you hear me? Can you indicate on YouTube if you can hear me? Oh, okay, yes, thank you so much. All right, you can hear me. All right. So yeah, down to design thinking, design thinking task was very straightforward also. We're just providing solutions to the issues with from the digital product, that's Nairaland, from the laws of UX tax. And then introduction to Figma was very straightforward. We really wanted you to immerse yourself in understanding it. So I know some of you all went to YouTube, Google, and were just checking for the answers because it was, multi-choice. I'll say you didn't do yourself very well, but then it's totally fine, right? As long as just go back and watch the video, because from next week we are going to be working with Figma fully. Next week is going to be style guides. We'll be addressing style guides 1 and 2, and then we'll be giving you a breakdown of the product design process, basically. And then if you are not if you did not take time to watch the introduction to Figma video, there's so many things that you're going to be seeing next week that's going to be confusing. I can't imagine someone coming to ask on YouTube, how do you draw a frame, right? It would be a very clear sign that you did not watch the introduction to Figma video. So you're coming to ask me, how do you add color? Those kind of questions were fixed this week, all right? So if you did a very wrong method, or you used a very wrong approach to attempt introduction to Figma tags, you didn't read the resources, or you didn't watch the video, the class that was added to introduction to Figma, or to the Figma Figma resource, like for this week. If you know that you didn't watch that resource, you didn't watch that video, make sure to go and watch the video now over the weekend. Spend time watching it. Else you would be doing yourself so much harm, because you won't be able to keep up with the pace next week. Next week you'll be doing style guides 1 and 2 covering so many things from colors to typography. We'll be opening your understanding to how to build up a style guide, how basically a style guide is built from scratch down to a design system, using Bradford's atomic design theory, basically, how you start from colors, typography, and all of those different little elements, then moving up to buttons, icons and those kind of things, and then text fields, and then to cards, to shadows, all of the stuffs you need for your product. So you'll be working on so many interesting stuff next week, and then you begin to feel like a UI UX designer from next week. Basically, we're working actively with Figma, and you start feeling the stress. All right. So if you've not done well checking introduction to Figma very well, you didn't watch the video, or you just skip through, or just look for answers to the OBJ questions, go and watch it. The purpose of this training is not for you to submit your tasks. It's for you to be a good UI UX designer. So if you're only focused on submitting tasks, you'll be hurting yourself and be hurting your career in the future. So you don't want to become someone who has known about UI UX design for 1 year, 2 years plus, but then does not have the work to show for it because you jumped processes, right? Okay, so let me go on the questions that you have. I just want to believe these questions are not really centered on tasks, because today is Friday. You should be resting tomorrow and should have completed your tasks for the week. Someone is asking introduction design tasks. Any task that's not been graded, please just be patient, okay? Someone is saying, come in. Okay, someone is saying, please, with the design thinking assignment, are we to state the laws and state the solution alone, or we have to add the screenshots too? For design thinking, you don't have to state you don't have to add screenshots. We mentioned that multiple times this week. Yes, you don't have to add screenshots. You just need to give us what problem is it you're providing a solution to, and the solution you're providing. Someone is saying, during design thinking process, what are the best way to carry empathy? I think I'd answered this question before. To carry out empathy, you need to research, talk to your users. That's it. You'll be doing more of user research very soon. How do we get to the coming? Oh, okay. Yes, style guide. All right, nice. Okay. How do we get to the Naira land tax on Figma? Send it URL. I don't think I understand this question well. You're saying, how do we get to the Naira land tax? What do you mean by the Naira land tax? Just go to your LMS, right? You see the tax update there. Week 2 product design tax, okay? Tony saying, please, all what you said earlier, is it for design thinking solution? What you said, people were doing copy and paste. Okay, I believe this was when I was having my office hour on Tuesday. Maybe. No, that was yesterday. Yeah. So say, is it for the design thinking solution? Oh, yeah. Oh, did you copy and paste? Yes, I saw lots of you all doing copy and paste, right? Just don't do it, okay? I would obviously find out, right? So whether it's for design thinking or whatever tax it is, just don't do it. How do you delete on Figma? I was practicing on shapes and couldn't clear them. Exactly my point, right? You didn't watch the video very well. Okay, so exactly. Now, but then if you have this kind of challenges, how do you delete on Figma? How do you do this on Figma? Just go and search on Google, right? Or go and search on YouTube. You would see tons of resources, right? Yeah. On the design thinking tax, are we supposed to provide solutions to the problem on the physical product? Just the digital product. I remember I mentioned that, not the physical, just the digital product. It was clearly mentioned. I want to know if putting the laws that were done wrong in the physical product is necessary or can't. No, make sure you put it. You can't tell if you are telling us that someone did something wrong. Would it make sense not to tell us what the person did wrong? So it's clear. Just tell us what was done wrong. If you did not do that, you're actually going to be, yes, your mark is going to be reduced. Like you're even going to that you're not going to get any mark, because identifying the problem is the most important thing. Yeah. Okay. So someone said I watched the video on marking, but I need some clarification. I'm confused on scaling, grid system, layout, frame. I've done some research, but I still haven't grabbed. Now you are confused on scaling, grid system, layout, and frames. Okay, so actually most of this, for example, grid system will be addressed very well in style guide. Scales will be addressed in style guide. For layouts are just very clear, right? We have different kinds of layout depending on what you are designing for, right? So for example, you have like the mobile size, you have web, you have, so whatever layout you're working with will determine the kind of grid system that you're going to be using. So I think that's where that explanation was mixing with each other. When it comes to frames in Figma are just like artboards, right? Those things you draw, those things you design in, right? You have your Figma space, and then you draw you draw kind of like an artboard, this thing that you draw, and then you are putting your design inside. So that thing you are drawing is a frame, right? So you would understand more in next week, basically. So when you say make your file accessible, do you mean viewable or editable? I mean viewable, not editable, right? Viewable. Okay. All right. So I've addressed all the questions you submitted. I'm trying to check YouTube, see some of the questions here. Any task that has not been graded, please, you'll be worked on, all right? So I've been looking for introduction to Figma video, and you drop the link to it. That means that you have not checked the resources, or you have basically not done the task, right? So just check the resources, post on LMS, check the post on LMS, right? So go to LMS and check post. So on that post, you would see week 2, resource. Under week 2, you would see it there. Week 2, introduction to Figma, or you see Figma, introduction to UI design, but then you see Figma there. That's where the tax is, right? Okay. So someone says, can our tax don't have feedback? All right. So it has been addressed, right? So from now on, your tax will have feedback. All right. Thanks so much. Someone say you register for Figma, an option came up to select either for personal use or work. Say they work use. I don't know. You should have selected personal use, right? It's not for work. So for work, you might see an advancement, right, where they will tell you to begin to pay, or to subscribe to professional or subscribe to organization. But then it's still fine as long as just make sure you don't put your credit card anyway. All right. So that's the only thing. Someone says, I'm unable to watch the insurance Figma video. Is it compulsory to watch the officers that I missed? Now, it's not compulsory to watch the officers that you missed this week, as long as you're able to address your tax, and you're able to do it right. The officer is really to clear issues or challenges you may have learning design. Okay, so if you're able to address your tax, right, it's totally fine. Just go ahead with it. The introduction to Figma video I'm talking about is the one that is in the post under like the resource that is given for introduction to Figma, not any of the office hours, right? Okay, so that's it. Some say design thinking assignment we have to do on Figma is purely text-based, right? No design. Yes. What do you mean by design? Yeah, you're not doing design. Design thinking assignment, you're not doing design. Yes, just state the solution. Yes. Someone is saying the guy on introduction, Figma introduction, made use of short codes. Yes, I was able to create my own, but I think more videos on Figma should be given. I want to believe you are saying shortcuts. Okay, yeah, if you want to learn about Figma shortcuts, right, you can just like check their resource. Go to figma.com, and check their resource page, or just search for shortcuts in Figma on Google. You guys should learn how to use Google a lot, right? Don't just because you have people, very soon after this training, right, you might not have direct 100% access. Like there won't be office hours, so you might not have direct access, except some of you that try to reach out on other platforms, right? So Google should be your best friend for basic things like this. Figma shortcuts, this one shortcut, how to make your link shareable in Google Docs, in Figma, like those things are available all over the internet, right? So just search on Google. Let Google be your friend, Someone is saying, yeah, now someone is saying, how can you type in Figma? It is very clear that you have not watched the video on introduction to Figma. That's clearly what I was just saying some minutes back, right? So now, if you're having issues with using text, there's a text tool in Figma. Okay, so anyway, that's the point of the office. So I'll be sharing. I want to believe you can see my screen. Yes. So like I was saying here, right, you want to type in Figma. It's clear. This is the text tool, right? This text, as you can see, text for T. or if you just press T on your keyboard, letter T, it will turn to text, or you can just click on it here or press T, right? So it gives you this, once you click on it, it gives you the cursor that you can type with. All right, so this is how you type in Figma, okay? Yeah, so that's that. Someone says no tax has been graded. Your tax will be graded, please. Yes. Don't say please just add a little. One can design a little with each of our phone. You can't design on Figma with your phone. You can only view, right? You can't design on Figma with your phone. You've not been getting updates on Slack. I don't know what that should mean, but it means that maybe you're not getting notifications or something. So, but as long as you are in the right channels, in the product design channel, that's what's most important. The announcement channel to get updates and the product design channel. So that's all. That's important. Okay, there's no other question. Let's do a run through of what we're going to cover next week. Next week is going to be very interesting. Next week is going to be very, very interesting and very, very challenging. Preparing your mind, not trying to make you scared though. Just preparing your mind, right? Next week is going to be very interesting and going to be very challenging. So basically for next week, what you should expect is you should expect to use Figma actively, right? All these Google Docs, this and stuff is going to pass, right? So you're going to be using Figma. Forget OBJs. You're not going to get OBJs anymore, right? Now you're balanced. You are beginning to get used to it. So we're just trying to get you, trying not to rush you too much, but pushing you in, right? So now you're kind of like balanced now. Exactly my point. Someone is saying you were asked to upgrade your Figma. Don't upgrade your Figma. What you are currently have personal use, make sure it is like the free version. There's a free version for Figma, right? Do not put your credit card. Whatever happens, you are responsible for that, right? They're going to build the card, and I think it's billed yearly. Okay, so don't put your card, or don't pay. You don't have to pay for Figma. All right, and don't upgrade. Don't click on any upgrade. Right? You don't have to pay for Figma, okay? Yeah. Or you don't have to pay to use Figma, at least at this level, right? Okay. Okay, so let's get into it. All right. So talking about next week. Next week is going to be very interesting, fun. You're going to be doing style guides, right? Yes, style guides. Style guides 1, style guides 2. If you check the resources, you should see it already. Style guide 1, style guide 2. So on that style guide 1, you're going to be covering on that style guide, basically, you're going to be covering color systems, right? 10 shades of color, how to generate color, how to get colors, introducing into HSL, like hue, saturation, and light, and, color mode. You learn about X, hexadecimal color codes, how to get colors. Then typography, yes, you introduce typography, you'll be introduced to icons, spacings, and grids, right? So if just the person that was asking a question about spacing and grid, next week is your week. So yes, then in style guide 2, basically we'll be going more to creating components, right? So from each of these, from colors, typography, icons, spacing, grids, we'll begin to start to create buttons, text fields, forms, that's input fields, basically, forms, drop downs, checkbox, radio button, toggle button, tooltips, tags, alerts, tabs, basically. So we'll begin to address each of all of these. We are going to address all of them, basically, and then there's going to be a tax, right? Obviously, there will always be a tax. So for the tax, you're actually going to create your own design, your own style guide. So a lot of work is going to be done. Please, let Google be your friend. Let YouTube, go beyond what we are offering you. Do not say we didn't give you. No, you don't get spoon-fed in life, right? Basically, you have to do beyond yourself to become part of the one extra or the top 1%. You have to go beyond everybody. If everybody is getting Zuri resource, right, you may want to go extra mile, to be able to do something very fantastic. Watch other videos, learn, push yourself beyond, beyond what we are just feeding you, right? Be exceptional. Obviously, if you are, you would get the best out of the training. Okay. I even want to believe that some of you should have been going ahead, to check about style guides from this weekend, right? What are style guides? Just get yourself, do not let it be our video that's going to introduce you to it first. Get yourself immersed in what style guides are. Just fill your mind with what style guides are. Know what to expect. Know what you're going to design, right? It just makes it easy for you to work. Else you just keep getting stressed. Do you get? Okay, so for week 3 also we'll be having product design process, right? There's no tax for that one, but then we are going to be teaching you how to design a product. It's just because you're going to be having for week 4, week 4 is a mini project. You have a mini project you're going to be working on. So that's the point of us introducing to the product design process. So you're going to be we teach you how to, we explain the process, right? Teach you how to, check for competitors, how to find opportunities, how to structure content, how to think of layout for your design, after doing all your research, right? All the competitors, finding opportunities are basically, your research, right? They'll teach you how to structure your content, how to create layouts, how to design out layouts, right? Then business opportunities or thought process will introduce you to mood boards, and why you need them, and visual design also, intuitiveness, basically how to, come up with, how to use your own, initiatives to kind of come up with design components, right, based on the need of the product that you're designing. So it's going to be fun. You're just going to watch the video. I advise you watch the video. That's like a preparation for the mini project, right? So you just want to watch the video. Then we'll teach you about iterating. Product design, like I said, the reason why you're a product designer, is not because you designed a product, that is being built. It is because you have gone through several stages of iteration of a product, from version 1 to version 2 to version 3, and you have seen a product go from MVP, a very bare minimum, to a very large scale product. So that's really what satisfies that you're a product designer, okay? So that's what we'll be covering for next week. Next week is going to be fun. The office hours, I know, are going to be much more practical. We're going to be showing lots of things. You have so many questions. Don't forget to always submit your question ahead of time. Always submit your question on the form. Don't wait for office hours, right? Because it will be very hard to keep up on YouTube. Okay. Okay, someone is asking how many weeks is the training, okay? Or how long? The training is basically for, I think 9 or 10 weeks. Let me see. Yeah. Oh yeah. So yes. So that's just a little bit above 2 months, just a little bit. Yeah. Yes, Figma auto saves your work. So for design thinking tasks, are we to give solution to each design thinking process? I don't know what you mean by this question, but then for design thinking tasks, that gives solution to each problem found on Naira land from the laws of UX tasks. Okay. Someone says, is it compulsory to upgrade your system to Windows 10? No, it's not compulsory. Just use. If you're not using a Windows 10, I advise, or if you're not using a Windows 10 or above, I advise you use Figma on the web, right? That's my best advice, basically. All right. Someone is saying week 3 doesn't sound fun. It's really fun. You're going to be designing a Figma actively, like you'll feel like a designer. All what you have been doing, you're not doing design work. You're just playing. All right. So you're going to feel like a designer. Really, 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 you'll feel like a designer. Okay. All right. So I think that's basically it for this week, and then preparing you for next week. It's going to be very exciting, sincerely. It's going to be very fun. All right. So we can have a quick chat about, getting your first role, or getting internship opportunities, right? And one of the big things that so many people always say is put your work out there. It's quite very underrated, but it's really one of the easiest way. Putting your work out there. It's not even about posting, right? It's about getting people to know that you are now doing design, right? So it's about getting people to know that you are now doing design. or getting people to know that you're now a designer, right? Or then getting people to know that this is how good you have become. So putting your work out there. I tell people opportunities are actually locks, right? But then what I mean by luck doesn't necessarily mean, luck doesn't necessarily mean you didn't do anything, right? Luck just actually means that what you did fell into the right time. That's what it means, right? So basically, there could be two different persons who are learning design, and then somebody is putting his work out there. They are both putting their work out there, but then someone reached out to the other person before the other, right? So you just have to, but then there's the fact that there is a possibility of someone reaching out to you for a project, or the fact there's probably of someone reaching, or there's probably of you getting a job or a gig or an internship by putting your work out there is much more reason why you should put it out there. You could be opportune than lucky. It could be opportune to be that one person, right? So, and that's why I tell lots of people that just put your work out there. So putting your work out there means that you are putting yourself into the radar, of luck, for luck to pick you out, basically, right? So there are persons who after Zuri, they got, I know about two persons after the first cohort of Zuri we did this year, they got jobs. So someone got an internship, like two got internships, I think, and then one actually got a full-time job, and then there are others too who haven't gotten jobs, right? But then there's this chance that you're going to get the moment you keep putting your work out there and keep doing the right thing, basically. So it's always very difficult getting your first opportunity, but it's all about persistence and, keep going, basically. So someone is asking, is there a difference between Figma, desktop, and web? Now, there's no difference. There's no difference instead. Also, you need templates to do their design thinking assignments. No, you don't need templates, right? You just need to do it, basically. So I started late due to laptop. How do I send my tax using Figma link? You need to copy the link. Just need to copy the link. Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, so that's it about getting your first opportunity. So and then you need to know people, right? That's one thing I think a lot of people don't get right. I mean, to be very sincere, looking at my design career, it's only like, I would say it's only once or twice I had applied for opportunities I got, right? No, when I mean by apply for opportunities I got, like I applied for a gig and then I was contacted, we discussed, and then we eventually started the gig, right? So most of the time, it is somebody I know that needs a designer, or it is somebody that is a designer that got a gig that, doesn't have the time to do it, and then it gets, to me, or it refers me for the gig, it's always about people, from people to me, for people to me, it's never always a direct application, right? So even also with getting jobs, right? I remember getting a job. It was basically just, someone referring me that there's a particular person, that actually needs a designer on their team. And then I just reached out to, I actually saw an opening for the company. They said they needed a designer, and then I remember I actually know someone who was working as their, I think it was DevOps engineer or something. I was working as an engineer at the company. I know it was handling like the core of their server and infrastructure, basically. So I know that it was someone they will always listen to, So I reached out to him on WhatsApp, and then I told him, I saw that they're IAM, blah, 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 blah. And that's how I got in to do the work for them. So several opportunities like that. Also meeting people, some say, they have like a design opening at the company, and then they send the link to apply directly to me before it's out, right? So my point there is that getting to meet people is like the core of your tech career. Sincerely, tech is easy, right? No. I mean, that was a mistake. Like tech is not, when I mean easy, right? Tech is not too complex. So when I mean by complex, you know that in the normal in the normal world, like the normal career or corporate world, right? You have to do so many things. First off, like you have to finish 4 years or 5 years or 6 years in the university, and then you have to start from bottom. You shall struggle and get your first role, and for you to get promotion, you have to go and maybe do a master's, and then you go and do a PhD, and then those kind of, like, it feels like so much stress, and it feels like a long-term work, right? But then why I said tech is, I initially said tech was easy, was because you would actually grow your career so fast in tech, right? And it's so much dependent on how well you know people, right? Most of the times, it doesn't even come about opportunities, it's about knowing the next thing to learn, right? I remember lots of designers that started doing Web3, basically, started doing blockchain design. They got to know about it from other designers that were doing it. So it was just about people and community pushing you to do something better, So that's basically it. So you want to make friends, you want to meet people, so you want to get to know even other people, not only designers, right? Just get to know people. Don't spoil relationships are one of the secrets of tech. I know people who have less experience, but then got offers that were higher than what they basically expected, right? So I know people who got offers like that, and then they had less experience, or someone got offers at global companies just because they knew someone who was working there. It still works today, and it works so much more in tech, right? So if I know someone who's close to me that can offer certain service at the company I'm working, I would refer the person first before you who is far away, so you just want to get to meet people, get to know people, and it shouldn't be about you benefiting alone, right? Make sure that it's a mutual benefit, that you could offer something to the person, right? Don't just be a prey, basically make sure that there is something you can offer to people when you meet in relationships, so make sure that you can, if it's about design, right, it could be from you guys doing design challenges, or you designing something and then getting someone to build it as a side project, or if you go to a particular developer that you feel like this developer is good, and then you look at some of the projects on his portfolio and you're like, you could design this project better, go ahead and design it. Then just chat with the person. Before you even go ahead, you can go ahead to design it. You feel like it's still a good add-on for you on your portfolio, right? But then even at that, after designing, you can go and chat with the person, hey, what's up? I saw this project on your portfolio, maybe a front-end or a back-end developer, or a front-end developer, basically, most of them. So, and you're like, I redesigned it. I feel like this design is quite better. Would you like to build that design? I feel like, oh, cool. And then fine, the people are seeing it's a win-win for both of you, right? You have it on your portfolio, and then you have it built by a developer that is live. So, like, it just makes it very, very easy, right? Okay, so that's the end of my TED Talk. I will be having more TED Talk. I think tomorrow is a drop-in session with Chris and Kingsley. Chris and Kingsley are senior designers in this industry. You get lots of insights. I mean, I was able to watch some of the ones they had with Court One. It was very insightful. So you shouldn't miss it tomorrow. I believe that next week is going to get very interesting. I see that we've addressed most of your questions. And then see you all next week. Thanks so much for this week. Very fantastic. You guys stressed us a little bit, but please stress us less next week. We'll try as much as possible to be very much more practical next week, because next week is going to be really, really practical, really, really practical. Okay. Okay. So, and then also, I know you are getting choked up with tax, right? One thing I just want to mention before I leave, like final words. Why is it sounding like a farewell service? All right. So, well, final words basically final words is that if you want to be best, right? You are over 2,000 on this training, I think. So if you want to be among the best, you just have to do beyond the best. Like if you are sitting down only waiting on Zuri resources, I believe you me, you are just going to be on the average of, what I mean by average doesn't mean about your design skills now. It's about being on the average with every other person that is doing Zuri, right? But then if you go beyond what we are giving you here, right? Some of you all have not gone to check more about design thinking broadly. Some of you have not gone to check up on laws of UX. Not all the laws of UX was covered in the video resource, right? Some of you all have not gone to check others, right? So all of these little efforts are the things that make you top 1% amongst everybody, right? Your own set is a new set of designers coming out of Nigeria, right? Or, I don't know, coming out of wherever you're coming out from, right? So, and then for you to be at the top best, you have to do beyond what every other person is doing. You don't want to be doing what every other person is doing, because it means that when you're struggling for same opportunities, you don't have something that puts you up the edge, right? Okay, so that's basically it, and that's the end. See you all next week. Hopefully, my first officer is on Tuesday, so we'll catch up by then. But then make sure to join the officers on Monday, and make sure to watch the videos before joining the officers. at least watch Style Guide 1 before joining the office hours, right? Come with your questions, they'll be answered. All right. Okay, Loy is with us on this call. Loy, I don't know if you have something to say before we call it a day. You're not talking. You're not very clear.
Am I clear right now?
Yeah, better.
So I was saying, like I've said most of the important things. I would just want to emphasize that the resources are there, and we can go over the resources, especially into the Figma class, provide resources and stand, even if they can find resources on their own, especially about start getting started with Figma. They can search, check, and refine your ends to prepare your mind as against the next week's classes. So I think that's the most important thing for now. So that's just what I would love to reiterate.
All right. Yes, that's it. So just check the resources, go beyond, and do the best, right? Okay, so that's all. Thanks so much for joining today's office hours, and see you all next week. Bye for now.